Trigger warning. Ghosts, ghouls, and gruesome stuff ahead. It's weird. It's dark. It's your kind of vibe. Welcome to Haunted and Homicidal, the podcast where true crime meets the paranormal. I'm Lauren.
And I'm Courtney. Every week we uncover the terrifying, the twisted, and the totally unexplainable. Lock your doors and grab your sage.
Because things are about to get haunted and homicidal. Hey guys, welcome back to another week.
What's up?
We're in week 9 now?
Yes.
So this is like episode something, 18 maybe?
Mischa, why are you smelling me weird? That's weird.
She's stressed out right now. I won't let her kill the pumpkin baby that you brought her. So she's mad about it.
I think she's killed like every baby I brought her.
She
gutted the turtle.
Yeah, she did, for sure.
Gutted the turtle.
Yeah, she... with like 2 minutes.
She gutted the octopus.
Yeah. Well, she took his brains out.
Did she do anything with Wonder Woman?
No. The Wonder Woman and the fox are still...
Oh, attached.
Yeah, they're still together.
Probably because they don't squeak.
Yeah, I think it's the squeaky ones that she pretty much
Because she's
destroys.
trying to get the squeaker.
But that's the funny part about the turtle. The turtle squeaky wasn't in the belly. It was in the head.
Oh, I don't know.
But she ripped open the belly.
Hey, Mischa.
Yeah. So how has your week been?
I got sick again.
Yeah. Well, we didn't record last week because I was almost to Georgia. Dothan is like 20 minutes outside of Georgia. Mm-hmm.
Ew.
Yeah, we had to go through Florida to get to Dothan, Alabama. Make it make sense.
What?
Mm-hmm. Now, there is a way to avoid going through Florida, but it's through the tunnel. Well, it's not through the tunnel. So the way to avoid going through Florida is to not go through the tunnel.
Well, that's like when I went to when I was going to Orange Beach, when my grandparents were there. I drove through Florida for like 10 minutes. Yeah,
so like, okay,
which was weird.
I don't do tunnels.
You don't do really bridges either.
Bridges, I'm okay with bridges. They don't give me anxiety. But the tunnel, the Mobile tunnel, I literally have to close and cover my eyes to go through it.
Why?
I'm terrified of it. I don't know. Apparently that I was scared of it when I was little. My grandma told me that yesterday, in fact. She said every time that we had to go through it, when I was riding with her and my mom going somewhere, they would have to like make loud noises or something when I was little to distract me from freaking the fuck out. And I'm the same way now. So I close my eyes and I cover them. And apparently I don't breathe going through the tunnel.
So if you like have to get like a... What's needs to go in that little machine? Like an MRI or something? Like, do you...
Oh, those freak me out too.
Okay.
I have panic attacks in those, yeah, for sure. Which they had to do that before they figured out, my CVS problem. They had to do the MRI to see if it was like neurological or whatever. I don't know what it is. No, so it's not like being in tight spaces. Like, I don't like that either. But I think it's mainly because I'm underwater in a concrete tube that if it collapses, I'm dead. There's no escaping that.
Oh.
Different than like going off the side of a bridge. I can swim. Yeah. But if I'm collapsed in a tunnel with concrete on top of me, I'm not surviving that. Yeah. And you don't know how often those things get maintenance work. They leak, fuck no. No. But apparently I also don't breathe. Okay. Because we drove through it on the way to Dothan because he doesn't mind the tunnel. Yeah. So I was like, okay, I'm going to keep my eyes open this time because it cuts off 40 minutes. Yeah. Then driving back around the opposite way, like through North Alabama. Otherwise, you have to get like around Montgomery area and then come back down. It's crazy. It's like almost an hour extra drive. So we went through it. And apparently, I was like holding onto the dashboard. My eyes were wide open and I was not breathing. And they kept telling me, breathe. And I'm like, I'm breathing. But I apparently was like turning blue. Oh.
Yeah, not breathing, Lauren. Not breathing.
Yeah, I thought I was breathing. But I was scared. So on the way back, we didn't take that way. And then on the way back to Dothan on Friday, we didn't take that way. We took that way home, though.
Did Lauren go with you? I mean, London go with you?
I made her. I had to have somebody go with me. But I was scared. It was scary going through the tunnel. I don't like it. So I didn't do it. Mainly because like people get stupid in the tunnel. They rev their engines, they honk their horns, and it freaks me out. Like when the tractor trailers or the truckers honk their loud ass fucking horn.
Because they like the echo.
Like I'm getting stressed out right now just even talking about it. It's rough. I didn't like it. Ugh. That was my week. It's been very stressful. I got the baby shower coming up next weekend.
Oh shit, yeah we do.
Yeah. Yep, I got most of the stuff I need for it yesterday. I ordered everything on Amazon. It'll be here Wednesday. I've got to go buy the diapers for the diaper cake. Mischa, you got your baby. Oh, my goodness. She's like, scratch that ass. You got booty boo scratches? You got booty boo scratches? She's been so excited since he's been home, too.
Aww.
It's adorable.
She loves her daddy.
She does. Yeah. So... today we are going to discuss Ted Kaczynski. What was that look? It was spicy. Spicy. I love like restaurant Sprites because of that spicy. Yeah, I love it. But we're going to talk about Ted Kaczynski. Some people may know who he is. Some people may not know who he is. He, like if you were born in like the 80s or 90s, you probably know a little bit about who he is, or like before the 80s and 90s anyway. So he was born May 22nd of 1942. He was a Gemini. He was born in Chicago to Wanda Teresa and Theodore Richard Kaczynski. His parents were Polish Americans who were raised as Roman Catholics, but later became atheist.
Okay.
So, you know...
Okay.
Samesies. From ages 6 to 9, Mischa. From ages 6 to 9, Ted attended Sherman Elementary School in Chicago, where he was described as healthy and well-adjusted. In 1952, 3 years after his brother David was born, the family moved to Evergreen Park, Illinois, and Ted transferred to Evergreen Park Central Junior High. After testing, scored his IQ at 167, so that's a lot.
That's super smart.
Super smart, and mind you, he was still significantly young when this happened. He skipped the 6th grade, so he was tested before 6th grade, which, what, 6th grade's like what? I don't know how old 6th graders are. So I have an 8th, 9th grader who's 14, so 12?
Maybe.
12 years old? Sure.
11.
So around 12, he had 167 IQ, which kind of scary. Children that bright are kind of scary. My middle son was tested at 2nd grade level with 147 IQ.
Damn.
London was 2 years older than that, and hers was 139. So she was in 4th grade. I have smart children.
Did Riley get tested?
No.
Oh.
He was not listed as gifted. But Riley, you know, he had some developmental issues and etc. I was tested when I was in 3rd grade, and mine was like 130 something. And also, I have a high IQ also, but I don't know what mine is. So, a lot of people don't.
Yeah.
A lot of people don't get tested, but, you know, in elementary school especially, when they see a kid is gifted or brighter, that's usually when they test them. And, I mean, and it's not a bad thing if you don't get tested in elementary school. It's just those who they see that are exceptionally gifted.
Yeah.
They do the IQ test, and then they put them in separate programs. When I was in elementary school... and tested, I was put in the program called the Magic Kingdom at elementary school, and it was for gifted students.
Mischa.
They didn't really have like programs like that for them, but they were awarded other opportunities and
get your baby, Mischa.
You know, different things that you can do in school.
Yeah.
And basically, like with Ted, because of his IQ, he skipped the 6th grade. So that's kind of one of those things that they do, is that they might move you ahead in grade. I declined to do that. And this is why. Ted later described him skipping 6th grade as a pivotal event in his life. Previously, he had socialized with his peers and was even seen as a leader, But after skipping ahead of them, he felt like he did not fit in with the older children who bullied him.
Aww.
Primary reason I would not allow mine to skip ahead. Benjamin is very socially awkward.
Yes.
And he is barely functional with his age group right now. And to put him in like senior, like put him as a senior right now when he's a sophomore, I don't think it would benefit him. You know, and the good thing is the high school does offer advanced placement classes, college classes for his grades, you know, and he's in a lot of AP classes right now. But that was like the main reason I wouldn't do it, you know, because they are with older children and they're not socially.
They're not there yet.
They're not adapted enough to be. I mean, and some kids are, don't get me wrong. Mine are not. And I knew that, and I didn't, it's already stressful for them to be as intelligent as they were in the classes that they were in, and then have to combine the stress and anxiety of school with the older kids who, you know, if you've got someone younger than you that is clearly more intelligent than you are, you're going to feel some type of way about it. I didn't want them to have to deal with that. So I didn't do it. But Ted's parents decided, you know, hey, let's do this. And I'm not knocking them for it. You know, you have to decide that you're on your own as a parent. But, you know, I didn't, and they did. Neighbors have said that Ted's parents, quote unquote, sacrificed everything they had for their children. Ted attended Evergreen Park Community High School, where he excelled academically. He played trombone in the marching band and was a member of the mathematics, biology, coin, and German clubs. So he was very active in school programs.
Oh, nice.
During this time, Ted became intensely interested in mathematics, spending hours studying and solving advanced problems. He became associated with the group of like-minded boys interested in science and mathematics, known as the quote-unquote briefcase club.
Oh,
because they carried around briefcases like everywhere they went.
That's funny.
Yeah. I think I have pictures of the little club. They're adorable.
Oh,
it is cute. They're adorable. Throughout high school, Ted was ahead of his classmates academically. He placed himself, or the school placed him, in more advanced mathematics classes. But unfortunately, because they were only high school level mathematics classes, he mastered the course material like really, really quick.
Of course he did.
Yeah, and then he was like bored for the rest of it.
Dang.
Yeah. He also skipped the 11th grade. And by attending summer school, he actually graduated fully at the age of 15.
Oh, nice.
Ted was one of his school's national merit finalists, and, you know, his teachers and peers, the briefcase club people, they encouraged him to apply to Harvard.
At 15?
Mm-hmm. What is her name? Elle Woods. Like it's hard.
Like it's hard?
Like it's hard. While still at age 15, he was actually accepted into Harvard.
Oh, snap.
And entered the university on a scholarship in 1958 at the age of 16.
Oh, snap.
Boy couldn't even drive, but he was in college. Mm-hmm.
What?
Speaking of scholarships, London got a scholarship.
Woo!
I'm so excited.
Go London.
She's going for, I think, nursing.
Oh, nice.
Yeah. She can get her ADN from JD. So
nice.
We're excited. Ted matriculated at Harvard as a mathematics prodigy. Matriculated just means graduated.
Okay.
Yeah. Okay. I knew you were kind of confused on that one. So, during his first year at the university, Ted lived at 8 Prescott Street, which was intended to provide a living space for the youngest, most precocious incoming students. Obviously, he was 16, so he was like one of the youngest students there.
Of course.
If not the youngest at that time. For the following 3 years, he lived at Eliot House. His housemates and other students at Harvard described him as very intelligent, but socially reserved. So,
I mean, I would believe that because you don't really have anything in common with anybody.
Yeah, you're 16 and there's like 18, 19, 20. You know, what do you have in common at 16 with a 20-year-old? Like, not a whole lot.
Exactly.
You can't party. Yeah, I don't know who that was. That's Muffin.
Muffin.
That's Muffin's meow. You can't party. You can't buy alcohol. I don't know how old you had to be in the 50s, I guess, 60s to buy cigarettes, but you can't do that. You're 16. Can't even join the army.
Exactly.
You have to be 18, I think. Well, maybe not then. I don't fucking know. But you can't do anything. There is absolutely...
so sad.
Yeah, he doesn't like being closed off. He likes to be able to get to people. But listen, there is absolutely nothing in common between a 16-year-old and a 20-year-old. Nothing. Okay? In any sense, form, fashion, nothing. And that's my PSA for today. So he earned his Bachelor of Arts degree in mathematics in 1962. In his second year at Harvard, Ted participated in a study led by Harvard psychologist Henry Murray. Subjects were told that they would debate personal philosophy with a fellow student and were asked to write essays detailing their personal beliefs and aspirations. These essays were given to an anonymous individual who would confront and belittle the subject in what Murray himself called vehement, sweeping, and personally abusive attacks. And this quote-unquote anonymous person was basically using the content of the essays as ammunition.
Bruh, she's eating this
Yeah,
ball.
I know. You can throw it away.
Oh, I missed the trash can.
This anonymous person was using the content of the essays as ammunition, and Ted actually spent 200 hours as part of the study.
Good golly.
So they were writing these essays, talking about their beliefs, their dreams, and then this other guy would come in and fucking tear them down.
Yes, let's do that to a 16-year-old.
Exactly. At any age. But that is what this was designed to do. And then the guy doing it was a psychologist. So I guess he was trying to do his own experiment on how damaging this could be to the psyche. And well, it didn't go well for Ted.
Oh no.
Yeah, well, we'll see. We'll see what happens to Ted, or what Ted happens to do. In 1962, Ted enrolled at the University of Michigan, where he earned his master's degree and doctoral degrees in mathematics in 1964 and 1967, respectively. Michigan was not his first choice for postgraduate education. He had actually applied to Berkeley in California and the University of Chicago. Both of them accepted him, however, but because Michigan was the only school to offer financial aid, that's the one he went with. The financial aid that they offered him was $2,310 in annual grants, which is now about $25,000 annually.
Oh, nice.
Yeah. And then they also offered him a teaching post, which is what he was kind of after. At Michigan, Ted specialized in complex analysis, specifically geometric function theory. Professor Dean Duran said of Ted, quote unquote, he was an unusual person. He was not like the other graduate students. He was much more focused on his work. He had a drive to discover mathematical truth. So he was really, really, really involved in mathematics. It fascinated him, every aspect of it. I tried to look up what geometric function theory was to explain it to you guys, but I couldn't wrap my brain around it. So you are more than welcome to look it up if you're interested. But I'm smart, but I'm not that smart. So it didn't make any sense to me. And there's that. George Peranian, another of his Michigan mathematics professors, said, quote unquote, it's not enough to say that he was smart. Peranian taught Ted functional theory and recalled, quote unquote, he was very persistent in his work. If a problem was hard, he worked even harder. He was easily the top student, or at least one of the top. So he excelled in pretty much everything he did. Professor Alan Shields wrote about Ted in a grade evaluation that he was, quote unquote, the best I may have seen. So, he caused no problems during school. He was really smart, worked really hard, didn't really have a lot of friends, but focused a lot on his work. For a period of several weeks in 1966, Ted experienced intense sexual fantasies of being female and decided to undergo gender transition. He arranged to meet with a psychiatrist, but changed his mind in the waiting room and discussed other things instead, without disclosing his original reason for making the appointment. Afterward, enraged, it doesn't say why he was enraged, maybe the psychiatrist just, I don't know, didn't give him any kind of
help, I guess?
Yeah, it just doesn't say. It just says, afterward enraged, he considered killing the psychiatrist and other people whom he hated. Doesn't explain why he hated the psychiatrist. Hell? I don't know. especially because he decided to change the reason of the visit. He decided to talk about something different. But Ted described this episode as a quote-unquote major turning point in his life. He recalled, quote, "I felt disgusted about what my uncontrolled sexual cravings had almost made me do, and I felt humiliated and violently hated the psychiatrist. Just then, there came a major turning point in my life, like a phoenix burst from the ashes of my despair to a glorious new hope."
The hell?
So again, why were you mad at the psychiatrist for your sexual desires that you didn't even tell him about or her?
Exactly.
Why?
And then you
hated them and then wanted to murder them, but why? Why? It doesn't make any sense to me at all. Like, at all. So obviously this dude needed a psychiatrist, but
clearly.
In 1967, Ted's dissertation, Boundary Functions, won the Sumner B. Myers Prize for Michigan's best mathematics dissertation of the year. So he was very smart, very distinguished. In late 1967, the 25-year-old Ted became an acting assistant professor at the University of California, Berkeley, where he taught mathematics. Where he taught mathematics, not mathematics. Where he taught mathematics, he assumed the position of the youngest professor in the history of the university. I don't know if that's still the case. I didn't look it up, but at the time, he was the youngest in the history of the university. By September of 1968, Ted was formally appointed to an assistant professorship, which was a sign that he was on the right track for tenure at that college. However, his teaching evaluation suggested that he was not well liked by his students. This was because he seemed to be uncomfortable in the teaching position. He taught straight from the textbook, and he would not answer any fucking question any kid had.
What?
Yeah. He didn't answer the questions. Kids had the questions, they were confused, and he was like, meh, next topic.
Yes, because everyone is as smart as you do.
Right. And that's a problem with people who have that high of intelligence. They expect you to know the information. They can't, for some reason, as smart as they are, they cannot comprehend that you don't get it like they get it. It's just not in their wheelhouse of knowledge that people don't think the same that you do. So the kids didn't like him, so the teaching position really did not seem to be the best for him.
No.
At all.
No.
So without any explanation, Ted resigned on June 30th of 1969 in a 1970 letter written by John W. Addison Jr., who was the chairman of the mathematics department, and he wrote it to Ted's doctoral advisor, which was the gentleman we talked about earlier, Mr. Shields. Mm-hmm. Addison referred to the resignation as, quote-unquote, quite out of the blue, and added that, quote, Kaczynski seemed almost pathologically shy, and that as far as he knew, Ted had made no close friends in the department, noting that efforts to bring him more into the quote-unquote swing of things had failed. So they noticed that he was a shut-in. He didn't really interact with any of the other teachers or, his peers. And
because he's so young and everyone else is
older. Yeah, for sure. And, despite them trying to get him, comfortable and interacting and inviting him to do things, it didn't work out. So after resigning from Berkeley, Ted moved into his parents' home in Lombard, Illinois. 2 years later, in 1971, he moved to a remote cabin he had built outside of Lincoln, Montana, where he could live a quote-unquote simple life with little money and without electricity or running water, working odd jobs and receiving significant financial support from his family.
Okay.
No, not okay. Stinky.
I know not okay.
Stinky.
But
not okay. No, I don't like that at all. Ted's original goal was to become quote-unquote self-sufficient so he could live autonomously. He used an old bicycle to get to town, and a volunteer at the local library said he frequently visited to read classic works in their original languages. So, Latin, French. He could read all this shit. He was super smart. Other Lincoln residents said later that such a lifestyle was pretty common in the area. A lot of people did that. So it wasn't anything, that they took notice of really as awkward or odd or suspicious.
Because, some people just want to have their, a quiet,
Yeah. And especially in the Montana area, it's a lot of wilderness out there. So it was a common thing, especially in this age or this day, time, year, century.
Yeah.
Especially during this time. So there wasn't, like I said, there wasn't anything like suspicious or out of the ordinary about him doing that. So nobody really paid attention to him. That was a mistake.
Mistake number one.
Yes. Ted's cabin was described by a census taker in the 1990 census as containing 1 bed, 2 chairs, some storage trunks, a gas stove, and a lot of books. So modest.
Yeah.
Starting in 1975, Ted performed acts of sabotage, including arson and booby trapping against developments near his cabin.
What?
So he started going crazy in 1975.
What?
Yeah. He also dedicated himself to reading about sociology and political philosophy, including the works of Jacques Ellul. If I pronounce that, I'm sorry. Sorry about it. Ted's brother David later stated that Ellul's book, The Technological Society, had become Ted's quote-unquote Bible. He read it a lot, lived by it, pulled a lot of his ideas from it. During the 1980s and the 1990s, Ted's neighbors started to suspect him of attacking and poisoning their dogs on multiple occasions.
No, not the dogs.
So, usually how psychopaths start, they start with animals.
Why is it always the dogs?
Because I guess it's an easy practice target. I don't know. People are a lot more complicated,
piece
I guess.
Shit.
Yeah, for sure, a piece of fucking shit. For sure. Between 1978 and 1995, Ted mailed or hand-delivered a series of increasingly sophisticated bombs that cumulatively killed 3 people and injured 23 others.
Good Lord.
Yeah. 16 bombs were attributed to Ted. While the bombing devices varied widely through the years, many contained the initials FC, which Ted later said stood for quote-unquote Freedom Club. These were inscribed on parts inside of the bomb. He purposely left misleading clues in the devices and took extreme care in preparing them to avoid leaving fingerprints. Some fingerprints were found on some of the devices, and those fingerprints did not match the letters that Ted had sent.
What?
Yeah, so some of the fingerprints that were found on the parts didn't match Ted.
So whose fucking fingerprints were they?
No clue. They never find out. But it would make sense, like, if he were just purchasing these parts wherever they were being sold, if they weren't packaged, whoever gave them to him, or if he were rummaging through somebody's garbage and just found these parts, it would have somebody else's fingerprints.
Yeah, that makes sense.
So they never, they never thought like anybody else was involved in this. It was just the fingerprints that were on these specific parts were not identified, and they were especially not Ted's. So Ted's first mail bomb was directed at Buckley Christ, who was a professor of materials engineering at Northwestern University. On May 25th, 1978, a package bearing Christ's return address was found in a parking lot at the University of Illinois at Chicago. The package was quote-unquote returned to Christ, who was suspicious because he had not sent it. So he contacted the campus police. Officer Terry Marker opened the package, which exploded and caused minor injuries.
Why would you open it if it's a suspicious package?
I don't know. Just because they do, I guess.
Dumbass number one.
Yeah, I don't know. Ted had returned to Chicago for the May 1978 bombing and stayed there for a time to work with his father and brother at a foam rubber factory. But in August of 1978, his brother ended up having to fire him for writing insulting limericks about a female supervisor Ted had courted briefly. The supervisor later recalled Ted as intelligent and quiet, but remembered very little of their acquaintanceship and firmly denied that they had any type of romantic relationship.
So in his head?
In his head.
Did?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah. So, like, he was, like, interested in her, but she, like, had no clue. And she was just like, he worked for me?
Where's your baby?
Like, that's all I did? Or all we did?
Where's your baby?
Ted's second bomb was sent nearly 1 year after the first one, again to Northwestern University. The bomb, concealed inside of a cigar box and left on the table, caused minor injuries to graduate student John Harris when he opened it. In 1979, a bomb was placed in the cargo hold of American Airlines Flight 444, a Boeing 727 flying from Chicago to Washington, D.C. The bomb released smoke, which caused the pilots to carry out an emergency landing.
Yep.
Authorities said it had enough powder to, quote unquote, obliterate the entire plane had it actually exploded. Ted used a barometer triggered device, and it had succeeded only in setting some mailbags on fire and forcing an emergency. Mischa, can you not? Can you get your baby and just go lay down with it?
She's like, but I want to play.
Honey, can you get your baby and just go lay down with it, please? Can you? Can you do that for me? No? Okay.
Tail's just wagging.
Yeah.
She's like, you can continue.
As soon as I do, though, she starts squeaking it. Ted had used a barometer triggered device, and it had succeeded only in setting some mailbags on fire, basically, which is what caused the smoke, and then for the crew to notice the smoke and, do an emergency landing. In a letter written years later, Ted expressed relief that the airline bomb had failed since its target had been, quote unquote, too indiscriminate. So he was like, yeah, I'm kind of glad that one didn't work out because, it needed an intended victim. So just on a plane full of people, it would have killed everybody. And that was just not specific enough for me. So yeah, like fucking sociopath, like for sure. So, that one didn't kill anybody, thankfully. It didn't even explode. Ted sent his next bomb to the president of United Airlines, Percy Wood. Wood received cuts and burns over most of his body.
So, question.
Yes.
Does it blah, 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 blah.
Oh, I don't know the answer to that one.
Does it say like why he picked these people at all?
No.
He just picked people?
Yeah.
Okay.
Well, kind of a little bit later, there's like a theory.
Yeah.
But it still doesn't make a whole lot of sense. Like, I think they were pretty much just random people he chose, like, that he kind of knew of. Which is why the plain one, he was like, cool, that one didn't work out.
Okay.
Yeah. Ted left false clues in most bombs, which he intentionally made hard to find to make them appear more legitimate.
What?
I don't know. Clues included metal plates stamped with the initials FC, hidden somewhere, usually in the pipe end cap. A note left in a bomb that did not detonate reading, "Woo, it works. I told you it would."
What?
Yeah, that's what he said. And the Eugene O'Neill $1 stamp, often used as postage on his boxes. So these were like the things that the FBI were kind of noting that were similar in all the bombs, like these three attributes.
And they couldn't catch him sooner with this shit?
Nope. He sent one bomb embedded in a copy of Sloan Wilson's novel Ice Brothers. So the FBI theorized that Ted's crimes involved a theme of nature, trees, and wood. He often included bits of tree branch and bark in his bombs. His selected targets included Percy Wood and Leroy Wood. And the crime writer Robert Graysmith noted his quote-unquote obsession with wood was a quote-unquote large factor. So, to answer your question, some of them were selected because it was assumed that Ted had some kind of obsession with wood or nature because he was living in nature.
Okay.
He attacked a lot of people with the last name of Wood.
Okay.
So, like, there is no, like, real kind of clear reason. Especially because some of the bombs were intercepted and they didn't make it to the right people and the wrong people were injured. So,
okay.
Yeah. In 1981, a package bearing the return address of a Brigham Young University professor or electrical engineer, Leroy Wood Berenson, was discovered in a hallway at the University of Utah.
I gotta scratch my back first. And then
she said, no, it's mine. Oh, yeah. Oh, goodbye, Squatchies. Oh, yeah, it's a good boy, Squatchies.
I like how she turns her butt.
She does. She goes into like that C shape. She's like, scratch my ass. It was brought to the campus police and was defused by a bomb squad. The following May, a bomb was sent to Patrick C. Fisher, a professor of computer science at Vanderbilt University. The package exploded when Fisher's secretary, Janet Smith, opened it, and Smith received injuries to her face and her arms. So again, intercepted by someone else, didn't make it to the target.
How many people stop touching things not theirs?
Yeah. Ted's next 2 bombs targeted at people at the University of California, Berkeley. The first in July of 1982 caused serious injuries to engineering professor Diogenes Angelikos. Sorry if I mispronounced that.
Today, Mischa.
Nearly 3 years later, in May of 1985, John Hauser, a graduate student and captain in the United States Air Force, lost 4 fingers and the vision in one eye. Ted handcrafted the bomb from wooden parts. A bomb sent to the Boeing Company in Auburn, Washington, was defused by a bomb squad the following month. So in June. And then in November of 1985, which was the month I was born, Professor James V. McConnell and research assistant Niklaus Suino both were severely injured after Suino opened a mail bomb addressed to McConnell. Again,
quit touching things that are
somebody
not yours.
opening mail that doesn't belong to you. In late 1985, so after the November one, a nail and splinter loaded bomb in the parking lot of a computer store in Sacramento, California, killed the 38-year-old owner of the store, Hugh Scruton. So much. On February 20th of 1987, a bomb disguised as a piece of lumber injured Gary Wright in the parking lot of a computer store in Salt Lake City. That was in Utah. So here's where things start kind of going towards his arrest and his undoing. Ted was spotted while planting the Salt Lake City bomb. This led to a widely distributed sketch of the suspect as a hooded man with a mustache and aviator sunglasses. So,
oh, okay.
Yeah. So when they say that, it reminds me of, let me get the picture of it. So when they say a mustache and aviator glasses, my first thought is Tom Cruise in Top Gun. Because he's wearing aviator glasses. He doesn't have the mustache or a hood, but anytime I hear that, that's like the image that pops into my head. Sorry, Tom Cruise. I love you.
I cried watching the second Top Gun.
I don't think I'm probably seen it, but I don't know. But I'm not to say Tom Cruise is a sociopath or anything like that, but that's just what popped into my head. Anytime I hear aviator glasses, that's the image I see.
Because that's what they pretty much put him with.
Yeah, that's the main image. So, in 1993, after a 6-year break, Ted mailed a bomb to the home of Charles Epstein. No probable affiliation with Jeffrey Epstein, but I cannot confirm or deny that. From the University of California, San Francisco, Epstein lost several fingers upon opening the package. On the same weekend, Ted mailed a bomb to David Gelernter, who was a computer science professor at Yale University. Gelernter lost sight in one eye, hearing in one ear, and a portion of his right hand after opening the bomb.
The hell?
Bombs are like no bueno. In 1994, Bernson Marsteller executive Thomas J. Mosser was killed after opening a mail bomb sent to his home in New Jersey. In a letter to the New York Times, Ted wrote he had sent the bomb because of Mosser's work repairing the public image of Exxon after the Exxon Valdez oil spill. So again, it's assumed that Ted was bombing people who had some kind of hand in things that were ruining nature.
Okay.
So, I mean, an oil spill definitely ruins nature. We had one on the Gulf a couple years ago, and people are still finding tar balls at the beach, in the water, in the fish. It's not good for the environment. Let's just say that. This was followed by the 1995 murder of Gilbert Brent Murray, president of the Timber Industry Lobbying Group of California Forestry Association, by a mail bomb addressed to a previous president, William Dennison, who had retired. Geneticist Philip Sharp at the Massachusetts Institute of Technology received a threatening letter shortly afterward. So we're just going to go over all the bombings, when they happened, and kind of who the victims were. Because I know it was like a lot right there. So we're just going to go in like list order. So the bombings. The first one was in May 25th of 1978 to Northwestern University. The victim was Terry Marker. Again, he just had injuries. He didn't die. May 9th of 1979, another Northwestern University victim, John Harris, also just injuries. The third one was November 15th of 1979, American Airlines Flight 44. It didn't detonate, so it was just like the mailbags caught fire and there was smoke. June 10th, 1980, Lake Forest. The victim was Percy Wood. October 8th of 1981, University of Utah. There were no victims. May 5th of 1982, Vanderbilt University. The victim was Janet Smith, who again got injuries to her face and her hands. July 2nd of 1982, Berkeley. The victim was Diogenes Angelopoulos. I don't know how to pronounce that. Sorry, guys. May 15th of 1985, Berkeley. The victim was John Hauser. June 13th of 1985, the Boeing Company. There were no victims. November 15th of 1985, the University of Michigan. The victims were James McConnell and Nicolaus Suino. December 11th of 1985, Sacramento. The victim was Hugh Scruton. February 20th of 1987, Salt Lake City. The victim was Gary Wright. June 22nd of 1993, Tiburon. The victim was Charles Epstein. June 24th of 1993, Yale University. The victim was David Gelernter. December 10th of 1994, North Caldwell. The victim was Thomas Mosser. And then April 24th of 1995, Sacramento. The victim was Gilbert Murray.
Oh, that was a year before I was born.
Yeah, so this, 1995 was when, the last bomb
16
happened.
bombs.
Yeah.
Good golly.
16 bombs, 23 injured, 2 killed. Or 3 killed. So, Ted wrote a manifesto. Of course he did. As they all tend to do. In 1995, Ted mailed several letters to media outlets outlining his goals and demanding a major newspaper print his 35,000-word essay.
What?
Yeah. 35,000-word essay. So he was one of those go big or go home guys.
My leg got stuck.
I was really confused.
Got stuck.
So, yeah, a 35,000-word essay called Industrial Society and Its Future, dubbed, quote-unquote, the Unabomber Manifesto by the FBI. And he wanted this published verbatim. He said that he would desist from terrorism if his demands were met. There was controversy as to whether the essay should be published. So Attorney General Janet Reno and FBI Director Louis Freeh recommended the publication out of concern for public safety and in the hope that a reader could identify the author. Bob Guiccioni of Penthouse volunteered to publish it. Ted replied Penthouse was less, quote-unquote, respectable than the New York Times.
He's like, I don't want to.
And the Washington Post, and said, to increase our chances of getting our stuff published in some, quote-unquote, respectable periodical, he would, quote-unquote, reserve the right to plant one and only one bomb intended to kill after our manuscript has been published. If Penthouse published a document instead of the Times or the Post, someone was getting killed.
He said, you're not good enough for me. I want someone better.
Yeah, he said, these two are not good enough for me, even though probably about as many people read Penthouse.
Yeah.
But probably not the right kind of people. But he's like, okay, you can do that, but I'm going to send another bomb to somebody and someone's going to die. So, the Washington Post decided, we're just going to go ahead and publish the essay. And they did on September 19th of 1995. So that's why the bombing stopped in 95. He was true to his word. Ted used a typewriter to write his manuscript, capitalizing entire words for emphasis in lieu of italics. He always referred to himself...
So fancy with the capital letters.
He's yelling. He always referred to himself as either we or FC, which again means Freedom Club, though there is no evidence that he worked with any others. And that's what I was saying from earlier. There was no evidence there was anybody else involved. The fingerprints were
his
never...
social interactions, he has...
didn't really have anybody, right? Yeah, for sure.
In his head, probably.
God only knows. Donald Wayne Foster analyzed the writing at the request of Ted's defense team in 1996 and noted that it contained irregular spelling, hyphenation, along with other linguistic idiosyncrasies, and this led him to conclude that Ted was its author.
He said, I know that one.
Yeah. Because of the material used to make the mail bombs, U.S. postal inspectors who initially had responsibility for the case labeled the suspect the quote-unquote junkyard bomber. So this is how he was able to get these bomb pieces with other people's fingerprints on it. He was looking through trash, looking at junkyards. Yeah, so that's another reason why they were like, no, he worked alone. He didn't do this with anybody else. It was just him. FBI Inspector Terry D. Churchy was appointed to run the Unabomber, which stood for University and Airline Bomber, the acronym, investigation in 1979. An FBI-led task force that included 125 agents from the FBI, the Bureau of Alcohol and Tobacco and Firearms, which is the ATF, and in the U.S. Well, I don't think I had a question. And the U.S. Postal Inspection Service was formed. The task force grew to more than 150 full-time personnel, but minute analysis of recovered components of the bombs and the investigation into the lives of the victims proved of little use in identifying the suspect, who built the bombs primarily from scrap metals, available almost anywhere. Investigators later learned that the victims were chosen indiscriminately from library research. So, again, he had no intention. They were just random people. So, which is crazy in itself, like scary. That's real scary.
That is.
It's just completely random. In 1980, Chief Agent John Douglas, working with agents in the FBI's Behavioral Sciences Unit, issued a psychological profile of the unidentified bomber. It described the offender as a man with above average intelligence and connections to academia, which, yeah, it's very true. Mm-hmm. This profile was refined to characterize the offender as a neo-Luddite holding an academic degree in the hard sciences, but the psychologically based profile was discarded in 1983. FBI analysis developed an alternative theory that concentrated on the physical evidence in recovered bomb fragments. In this rival profile, the suspect was characterized as a blue-collar airplane mechanic, which he was not.
Definitely not.
The Unabomber task force set up a toll-free telephone hotline to take calls related to the investigation with a $1 million, which is equivalent to approximately $2.18 million in 2025, reward for anyone who could provide information leading to the Unabomber's capture.
What are you looking for?
This.
No.
Before the publication of Industrial Society and Its Future, Ted's brother David was encouraged by his wife to follow up on the suspicions that Ted was actually the Unabomber.
Because his sister-in-law was like,
that's your brother, guy.
That's your brother.
Yeah. David was dismissive at first, but he took the likelihood more seriously after reading the manifesto a week after it was published in September of 1995. He searched through the family's papers and found letters dating to the 70s that Ted had sent to newspapers to protest the abuses of technology using phrasing similar to what was in the manifesto. So the brother was like, yeah, shit.
It's my brother.
Before the manifesto's publication, the FBI held many press conferences asking the public for help to identify the Unabomber. They were convinced that the Unabomber was from the Chicago area where he began his bombings, and he was, and worked in or had connection to Salt Lake City, and by the 1990s had the same association with the San Francisco Bay Area. This geographical information and the wording and excerpts from the manifesto that were released before the entire text of the manifesto was published persuaded David's wife to urge him to read it, because she's like,
this sounds like your brother, dude.
This kind of sounds like Ted. Maybe we should do something about it. Thankfully, they did.
See, now that's someone who freaking did something
and pays attention,
unlike Pazuzu's mother, who didn't do shit.
After the manifesto was published, the FBI received thousands of tips. While the FBI reviewed new leads, Ted's brother David hired private investigator Susan Swanson in Chicago to investigate Ted's activities discreetly.
Good luck with that.
David later hired Washington, D.C. attorney Tony Bisceglie.
Okay.
That sounds like a Attorney Tony Bisceglie, to organize the evidence acquired by Swanson and contact the FBI, given the presumed difficulty of attracting the FBI's attention. Ted's family wanted to protect him from the danger of an FBI raid, such as those at Ruby Ridge or Waco, since they feared a violent outcome from any attempt by the FBI to contact Ted. So
they knew, they're like, Ted's probably gonna die.
Yeah, they probably knew that had they invaded or raided the home, it probably would not have been a good outcome.
No.
He probably would have fought, and
probably had
it would have not been a good situation, and I think a lot of people probably would have died. So that was probably a good move on their part. In early 1996, an investigator working with Bisceglie contacted former FBI hostage negotiator and criminal profiler Clinton R. Van Zant. Bisceglie asked him to compare the manifesto to typewritten copies of handwritten letters David had received from his brother. Van Zant's initial analysis determined that there was better than a 60% chance that the same person had written the manifesto, which had been in public circulation for half a year at this point. Van Zant's second analytical team determined a higher likelihood. He recommended Bisceglie's client to contact the FBI immediately. In February of 1996, Bisceglie gave a copy of the 1971 essay written to Ted to Molly Flynn at the FBI. She forwarded the essay to San Francisco-based task force. FBI profiler James Fitzgerald recognized similarities in the writings using linguistic analysis and determined that the author of the essays and the manifesto was almost certainly the same person, because it was.
Very much so.
Combined with facts gleaned from the bombings and Ted's life, the analysis provided the basis of an affidavit signed by Terry Turchi, the head of the entire investigation, in support of the application for a search warrant. Ted's brother David had tried to remain anonymous, but was soon identified. Within a few days, an FBI team was dispatched to interview David and his wife with their attorney in Washington.
Oh, no.
At this and subsequent meetings, David provided letters written by his brother in their original envelopes, allowing the FBI task force to use the postmarked dates to add more detail to their timeline of Ted's activities. David had once admired and emulated his older brother Ted, but had since left the survivalist lifestyle behind. He had received assurances from the FBI that he would remain anonymous and that his brother would not learn who had turned him in. However, his identity was leaked to CBS News in early April of 1996.
Oh, no.
CBS anchorman Dan Rather called FBI Director Louis Freeh, who requested 24 hours before CBS broke the story to the evening news. The FBI scrambled to finish the search warrant and have it issued by a federal judge in Montana. Afterward, the FBI conducted an internal leak investigation, but the source of the leak was never identified. FBI officials were not unanimous in identifying Ted as the author of the manifesto. The search warrant noted that several experts believed the manifesto had been written by somebody completely different, which it wasn't.
It was not.
FBI agents arrested an unkempt Ted at his cabin on April 3rd of 1996. A search revealed a cache of bomb components, 40,000 handwritten journal pages that included bomb-making experiments, descriptions of the Unabomber crimes, improvised firearms, and one live bomb.
Oh, wow.
Yep. They also found what appeared to be the original typed manuscript of Industrial Society and its Future. By this point, the Unabomber had been the target of the most expensive investigation in the FBI history at the time. A 2000s report by the U.S. Commission on the Advancement of Law Enforcement stated that the task force had spent over $50 million, which is equivalent to approximately $91.3 million in 2025 on this investigation. A lot of money, but there was a lot going on. So, I mean, I figure they had 150 people working on this. It was going to be expensive. And they were trying to protect people. Like, this wasn't just happening in one little isolated area. It was, like, many different places. After his capture, theories emerged naming Ted as the Zodiac Killer who murdered 5 people in Northern California from 1968 to 1969. Among the links that raised suspicion were that Ted lived in the San Francisco Bay Area from 67 to 69, that both individuals were highly intelligent with an interest in bombs and codes, and that both wrote letters to newspapers demanding the publication of their works with the threat of continued violence, that the demand was not met. Ted's whereabouts cannot be verified for all of the killings. Since the gun and knife murders committed by the Zodiac Killer differed from Ted's bombings, authorities did not pursue him as a suspect.
That means he has to get close to people. He don't like that.
Yeah, Ted was not the Zodiac Killer,
no.
by the way.
No.
Robert Graysmith, author of the 1986 book Zodiac, said the similarities are quote-unquote fascinating but purely coincidental. So, like, nobody else believed he was the Zodiac. Because it wasn't his M.O.
Yeah.
It just was not his M.O. At one point in 1993, investigators sought someone whose first name was quote-unquote Nathan because the name was imprinted on the envelope of a letter sent to the media, but nothing came of it. A federal grand jury indicted Ted in June of 1996 on 10 counts of illegally transporting, mailing, and using bombs. Ted's lawyers, headed by Montana federal public defenders Michael Donahoe and Judy Clark, attempted to enter an insanity defense to avoid the death penalty, but Ted rejected the strategy.
Ted's like, I'm not.
He's like, I'm not crazy.
I'm not crazy.
I mean, he is crazy, but like not
insanity crazy.
Yeah. Because you just kind of have to be crazy to be doing shit like this. Like, sane people don't do this.
Yeah.
It just doesn't happen. But he wasn't criminally insane, I guess. On January 8th of 1998, he asked to dismiss his lawyers and hire Tony Serra as his counsel. Sarah had agreed not to use an insanity defense and instead promised to base a defense on Ted's anti-technology views. After this request was unsuccessful, Ted tried to kill himself on January 9th. Sally Johnson, the psychiatrist who examined Ted, concluded that he suffered from quote-unquote paranoid schizophrenia, though the validity of this diagnosis has been heavily criticized. I would think he was paranoid schizophrenic.
Yes.
Like, quite honestly, I don't know why this was debated. Like, textbook definition, that's Ted Kaczynski, my guy. Forensic psychiatrist Park Dietz said Ted was not psychotic, but had a schizoid or schizotypal personality disorder. Similar, but, not the same thing. In his 2010 book, Technological Slavery, Ted said that 2 prison psychologists who visit him frequently for 4 years told him they saw no indication that he suffered from paranoid schizophrenia, and the diagnosis was quote-unquote ridiculous and a quote-unquote political diagnosis. I mean, okay.
Alrighty then.
Yeah. Some contemporary authors suggest that people, notably Ted's brother and mother, purposely spread the image of Ted as mentally ill, intending to save his life, which could be true.
Yeah.
But if you just look at everything he did, everything he said, everything he was, everything he could have been, paranoid schizophrenia would be my vote. Yeah. It really would.
That'd be Ted.
Yeah, that would be my vote. I'm not a psychologist, but, I do a lot of research and I know a lot of stuff, and he just seems to kind of fit the majority of the bill. On January 21 of 1998, Ted was declared competent to stand trial by federal prison psychiatrist Johnson, quote unquote, despite the psychiatric diagnosis. And prosecutors sought the death penalty. So here's the thing. I believe he was mentally ill, okay? But I don't believe he was mentally incompetent.
No.
There's a big difference. And I think they were trying to use the quote unquote mentally ill diagnosis as saying he was incompetent and didn't know what he was doing when he was doing it.
He had a very high IQ.
Right.
That man knows what he's doing.
He knew what he was doing. Was it crazy? Fuck yeah, it was crazy. But he knew what he was doing. He wasn't, mentally inept or mentally challenged. He knew what he was doing and what the consequences were, especially because when he sent the airplane or the bomb onto the airplane, he said, you know what? I'm glad this one didn't detonate because it wasn't specific enough.
Yeah. He
knew what he was doing. So I can see why they didn't want to diagnose him as such, to kind of get around the trial part. But in all actuality, this man, he has some mental problems, like for sure. Prosecutors sought the death penalty. Did I already say that? Maybe. Ted pleaded guilty to all charges on January 22nd of 1998, accepting life imprisonment without the possibility of parole. He later tried to withdraw his plea, claiming the judge had coerced him, but Judge Garland Ellis Burrell Jr. denied his request, and the U.S. Court of Appeals for the North Circuit upheld that denial. So he was like, yeah, no, the judge made me say that. I really didn't mean it. And everybody else was like, you're a fucking liar. No.
Yeah, no.
Denied. In 2006, Burrell ordered that items from Ted's cabin be sold at a quote-unquote reasonably advertised internet auction.
What?
The judge.
What?
Yeah, that guy was like, hey, let's just sell his shit, okay?
How about we not sell his shit?
Well, they sold his shit.
Okay.
Items considered to be bomb-making materials, such as diagrams and recipes for bombs, were excluded.
I'm about to say, I hope those were not.
No, they didn't sell those. The net proceeds went toward the $15 million, equivalent to approximately $23.4 million in 2024. In restitution, Burrell had awarded Ted's victims, so he awarded $15 million to Ted's victims.
Oh, that was nice.
So that's kind of why they sold his shit. And they put it towards the restitution for that.
That was nice.
Yeah, because restitution is like one of those really hard things, because you're awarded restitution to someone who's in prison who doesn't work and make money. Well, they work, but it's like 30 cents an hour. Like, you're never going to get your money. Ted's correspondence and other personal papers were also auctioned. Burrell ordered the removal before sale of references in those documents to Ted's victims. Ted unsuccessfully challenged those redactions as a violation of his freedom of speech. The auction ran for 2 weeks in 2011 and raised over $232,000. So it's equivalent to about $325,000 today. Still not anywhere close to the amount awarded to his victims. Following Ted's sentencing to life without parole, he gifted his cabin to Charlotte Holdman, an anti-death penalty activist and mitigation specialist who played a role in preventing him from receiving the death penalty. The U.S. government refused to allow Holdman to keep the shack.
He gave her his cabin because... What?
Yeah, gave the cabin to this person because they helped play a role in preventing him from getting the death penalty. But the government was like, no, you can't have this.
Yeah, no.
It's not for you. So, almost immediately after being convicted, Ted began serving his life sentences without the possibility of parole at ADX Florence, a supermax prison in Florence, Colorado. Early in his imprisonment, Ted befriended Ramsey Youssef and Timothy McVeigh.
Oh, he made friends?
So I'm guessing Timothy McVeigh, you don't know who that is.
No, I do not.
Okay. He's another bomber.
Oh, okay.
A bad one.
Okay.
Yeah. The perpetrators of the 1993 World Trade Center bombings and the 1995 Oklahoma City bombing, respectively. So Ramsey Youssef bombed the Trade Center in 93, and Timothy McVeigh bombed the Oklahoma City in 95.
Oh, okay.
So that's the only reason he made those friends.
Okay.
They discussed religion and politics and formed a friendship which lasted until McVeigh's execution in 2001. Ted stated about Timothy McVeigh, quote unquote, on a personal level, I like McVeigh and I imagine that most people would like him. But then he also stated, quote unquote, assuming that the Oklahoma City bombing was intended as a protest against the U.S. government in general and against the government's actions at Waco in particular, I will say that I think the bombing was a bad action because it was unnecessarily inhumane.
What?
Look.
What?
Look. Because, again, McVeigh's attack, I think, was indiscriminate.
Yeah.
And, like, too many, quote-unquote, innocent people were victimized. And, like, Ted's not about that. He has specific victims. Even though they were random, they were specific. It wasn't like he sent it to one person and the bomb killed 40. He sent it to one person, the bomb killed or injured one person or maybe two people. So it seems to be like he's saying the bombs were unjust and inhumane because it killed more than your intended target.
Okay.
Ted is not about collateral damage. Ted wants swift, fast action and that one person to be the victim. Okay. So, I mean, it's fucked. It's fucked no matter how you look at it. But yeah, that's what he said.
Okay.
Yeah. In October 2005, Ted offered to donate 2 rare books to the Melville J. Herskowitz Library of African Studies at Northwestern University's campus of Evanston, Illinois, the location of his first 2 attacks. The library rejected the offer because it already had copies of the works. The Le Bodie Collection, part of the University of Michigan Special Collections Library, houses Ted's correspondence with over 400 people since his arrest, including replies, legal document and publications, and clippings of their own sub-collections titled, quote-unquote, Ted Kaczynski Papers, 1996 to 2014, quote, or parentheses, majority within 1996 to 2005. That's like the whole name of the book.
Okay.
Yeah. The identity of most correspondents will remain sealed until 2049. So we've still got 24 years until those names are unredacted. In 2012, Ted responded to the Harvard Alumni Association's directory inquiry for the 15th reunion of the class of 1962. Mm-hmm. He listed his occupation as, quote unquote, prisoner, and 8 life sentences as collected awards. So like when your high school reunion comes up, they get information from you, like, you know, what have you been doing with your life? What is your current occupation? Oh, mine did. How many kids do you have? You know, these are the kind of things like when they introduce you, or, you know, whatever. What have you achieved in your life? So he was like, my work is prisoner, and I killed people, and I have 8 life sentences, and those are my certifications and awards. Thank you.
Wow.
Obviously, he declined to go.
Of course.
Because he couldn't.
Yeah, can't go anyway.
Yeah. So, but yeah. In 2011, Ted was a person of interest in the Chicago Tylenol murders. Oh, we're going to cover those. Those are fucking crazy.
Tylenol murders?
You haven't heard about that?
No.
Yeah. So like someone was injecting Tylenol into injecting Tylenol capsules with like arsenic or some kind of poison, and it was killing people. Oh. They could never figure out who, because like they were being resealed. Oh. Yeah. This is why that plastic cap and stuff comes on Tylenol now, because that we're going to cover it though. Eventually, not this year. So we got all of our shit done for this year, but it's crazy. Ted was willing to provide a DNA sample to the FBI, but later withheld it as a bargaining chip for his legal efforts against the FBI's private auction of his confiscated property.
What?
Yeah, so he was like, hey, I'll give you my DNA, but only if you stop selling my fucking shit that I'm never, ever, ever in my life going to be able to have, hold, touch, see, smell, lick, taste ever again. Okay. Yeah. The U.S. government seized Ted's cabin, which they put on display at the museum.
Called what?
It's called a museum. It's like a museum, but it's different. At the museum in Washington, D.C. until late 2019, when it was transferred to a nearby FBI museum. In March 2021, Ted was diagnosed with rectal cancer. Karma. And complained of rectal bleeding in March 2021. And on December 14th of 2021, he was transferred to Federal Medical Center, Butner in North Carolina.
Oh, no.
Everything is fucking North Carolina, man.
Butner's right next door.
Yeah, that's where he was transferred. Ted was receiving bi-weekly chemotherapy until March of 2023, when he began to decline all treatment due to unpleasant side effects and his poor prognosis. So he basically was like, look, the side effects of the chemo is worse than not having it. You know, and he's like, I only have not a great chance of surviving this anyway. There's no point to continue on with it. It's more consequential than it is beneficial to me. So he stopped taking treatment.
Butner was 5 minutes away.
Well, you weren't there in 2023. In May of 2023, Ted was noted by a prison oncologist to be quote unquote depressed and was referred for psychiatric evaluation. At 12:23 a.m. on June 10th of 2023, Ted was found in his cell unresponsive with no pulse after hanging himself from a handicap rail with a shoelace. Prison employees immediately began resuscitation measures and was taken to Duke University Hospital in Durham, North Carolina, where he was pronounced dead at 8:07 a.m. And such is the life and legacy of Ted Kaczynski. If you would like to read his manifesto, it is available online for reading. I was not about to include that because it is 35,000 words. So if you guys wish to go look at that up and read it, you are more than welcome to, but you're not getting it here. So that was the Unabomber, Ted Kaczynski.
Okay.
And all of his fucked upness.
Why is everything in North Carolina, especially around where I live?
I don't know, because look, see, what happened was when I started doing like the research on the people, I did it by state. So like really it should be state specific, but almost all of my people have some kind of connection to North Carolina.
Yes, they do.
That's so crazy. I don't know. Sorry about it.
Yeah. Okay.
None of them have connection to where I'm from.
Okay.
Or even here.
No.
None of them.
Okay. So mine is super short. Mine is not as long as Lauren.
That's okay, because mine was an hour and a half long.
Yeah, mine's not that long. So I have Thomas W. Piper.
Okay.
He was born to T.C. Piper, a farmer in Yarmouth, Nova Scotia, Canada, on April 22nd, 1849. He was a Taurus.
Okay. My daughter's a Taurus. Bullheaded.
She very much is.
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah.
He was a bright, clever boy who worked as a carpenter on the family farm.
Carpenter!
Okay. They moved to Boston in 1866.
Okay. Well, shit. This one's close to where I was born. Born in Franklin County. What?
In New York?
Boston's in Massachusetts.
Oh, yeah.
Boston's like here. Franklin County is like over here in Greenfield. So I'm like the opposite end, but it's still Massachusetts.
Oh.
Boston.
Boston.
He was a devout Baptist churchgoer and became a sexton. If you don't know what that is. I know. A caretaker and custodian responsible for the maintenance, upkeep, and general operations of a church building and its grounds. Duties include cleaning, minor repairs, setting up for services and events, securing the building, and ensuring a safe and welcoming environment for the congregation and visitors.
What? A sexton.
Yes.
Is a janitor and helper.
Pretty much.
Why did they pick that name?
I don't know, because they did. And it was at the large, prosperous Warren Avenue Baptist Church in Boston South End.
Okay.
He was known for his flowing black cape, and he was friendly with everybody.
Oh, okay. Well, kind of interested now, yeah.
He did have a kidney disease, but he self-medicated with a mixture of laudanum and alcohol.
I'm sorry. He self-treated with, so like drinking alcohol or rubbing alcohol?
Drinking alcohol.
You. What?
Yes.
Okay. So he was killing himself faster? Got it?
Yes. And because of all that, he grew to have hallucinations.
What? Okay.
When he would mix that shit together. And so he set multiple arson fires.
I'm so confused. Okay.
Yes. So when he would do his little concoction, he'd get hallucinations.
Right. Set shit on fire?
Set shit on fire. And then, so now we're going to get into his crimes. Because now...
Those weren't the crimes?
No.
Okay.
Because, so I guess his hallucinations got worse.
Oh,
so
God.
it upgraded.
Okay.
Yes, okay. So his first crime began on December 5th, 1873. And he chose his first victim after drinking his medication, quote unquote.
Mm-hmm.
He spotted a lone woman, Bridget Landrigan, a domestic servant returning to her house. He stalked her for a while, and then with a piece of wood described as bat-like, he smashed her head open and strangled her to death.
What the fuck?
Witnesses report seeing a man in black clothes and a flowing cape
Okay.
Attempted to sexually assault the dead girl before running away.
Ew.
Yes.
What do you mean attempted? Never mind. I don't want to know.
I was like, do you want to ask that question?
Never mind. No, I do not want to know. No, I don't want to know that. Okay.
An hour or so after Bridget's murder, another woman was viciously assaulted nearby, but she survived.
So it was on the same day?
Yes, like
what the fuck?
Yeah, police said no more about that case, presumably out of courtesy for the victim and her family. So we never know who that victim was.
Okay.
And then early in 1874, Piper met with Mary Tyner, a quote unquote girl of the town in Victorian terms.
Why do I know that name?
In downtown Boston.
Boston.
Mary took him into her house where he hit her over the head several times with what police thought was an axe.
Oh.
She survived, but was confined.
Oh, God.
Yeah. But she was confined to a mental asylum until her death about a year later. She was never able to identify her attacker.
A mental asylum?
Yes. I mean, you get whacked in the head pretty hard, a few times, He fucked up her brain.
Well, I mean, yeah, I can see that, but, like, what the fuck?
Yeah, he fucked up her brain. And then the last victim, which is what he got arrested, is how they caught him. Sunday morning, May 23rd, 1875, he greeted churchgoers as usual upon their arrival. And then after the church service, he consumed a purportedly large quantity of whiskey and laudanum.
Okay.
He then lured 5-year-old Mabel Young up to the belfry with a promise of showing her the pigeons.
No.
I told you, he had hallucinations and it got worse.
No.
He sent her up the stairs and then picked up the bat he left near the door. He then hit her in the head a few times. It did not kill her.
What the fuck?
So he tried to muffle her screams by locking her in the tower room.
Oh my God.
He escaped through a window and dropped 13 feet to an alley. Mabel was found.
13 feet?
That's what it said.
And he didn't break anything?
It did say, so I was like, I don't know, that's right.
Oh my God.
Mabel was found, but she died the next day.
Oh, poor baby.
Yeah. So witnesses remember seeing him with her. So they were like,
Right. Yeah, for sure.
So he was arrested. He was convicted of the murder of Mabel, and a date of execution was set. He then decided to confess to the other 3 murders, and he said he had an intense urge to commit murder, which made him a bad man.
Yes.
He was hanged on May 6, 1876, and buried privately in Mount Hope Cemetery. His grave is unmarked. That's it on paper. I told you it was very, very short.
That's very short, but very fucking traumatizing.
Yes, that's why you don't self-medicate people. If you don't feel good,
you don't mix medication and alcohol anyway, like ever, because like shit like this happens, or you kill yourself. Like it's crazy. Like what the fuck?
Yes, so don't self-medicate, please, because this is what happens if you mix medication and alcohol.
That is absolutely fucking insane. But yeah, that's this week's story. Mine was super long. Hers was super short.
Very short.
So it's kind of like that's how we're doing things right now, apparently. And it's not even
who the hell was that?
It's probably Vu. Open the door and see. Oh, it's Mo.
What about?
It's Mo. He's needy too.
He looks so sad.
Poor Bubba. What was I saying?
Super short, super long. That's how we're doing things.
Yeah, we're not even like scheduling them this way. It's just, I guess, fortuitous. But that was our
Lauren's having trouble Englishing today.
I'm malfunctioning. Like I said, it's been a long fucking week, long 2 weeks. It took me 3 days to recover from the first trip, and I'm still not recovered from this last trip. And I have to work tomorrow. Like normally I'm off Monday where I could just take. Yeah. But I'm not. I'm stressed. You can find us at facebook.com/haunted and
haunted.
You can find us at facebook.com/haunted and homicidal. Of course, you guys can still join our Patreon. We have like little goodies in there sometimes when it gets started. Patreon.com/haunted and homicidal. We still would love
goodies too, people.
Yeah, they are. And we would still love to hear from you guys. So you can email us at hauntedandhomicidal@gmail.com. Send us recommendations. Any kind of experiences that you've had on either end of the spectrum, either paranormal or like, somebody who got murdered, or you were in a situation or something, just whatever you guys want to share. We'd love to hear from you guys. And of course, as always, thank you for the support and love. We greatly appreciate it. We are continually growing, and it just amazes me every time I look at our statistics, how many more people are listening and from where. Mississippi is still killing it, you guys. So
what?
Whoop, whoop. So we're very thankful for you guys. And I love y'all who send me messages, like on Facebook Messenger. You guys are doing great. Love your stories. It's great. People that comment on YouTube, we love that too. People who comment on Spotify, we love that too. Comments and likes and stuff like that get us up in the ratings, where more people can discover us. Because right now we are still little babies and we are working it out.
Just a baby.
Just a baby. But again, thank you guys. Again, Facebook, Patreon, Gmail, send us something, talk to us, all that good stuff. Okay, bye.
Bye.